You can fool all the people some of the time, and some of the people all the time, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. I never had a policy. I have just tried to do my very best each and every day. A friend is one who has the same enemies as you have. It is not best to swap horses while crossing the river. When you reach the end of your rope, tie a knot and hang on. Every man's happiness is his own responsibility. You cannot build character and courage by taking away a man's initiative and independence. A house divided against itself cannot stand. With malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right as God gives us to see the right, let us strive on to finish the work we are in. I don't like that man. I must get to know him better. In giving freedom to the slave, we assure freedom to the free. Do I not destroy my enemies when I make them my friends? The best way to get a bad law repealed is to enforce it strictly. I am bound to live by what light I have. I shall adopt new views as fast as they shall appear to be true views. Those who look for the bad in people will surely find it. I care not for a man's religion whose dog and cat are not the better for it. And in the end, it's not the years in your life that count. It's the life in your years. The better part of one's life consists of his friendships. Don't worry when you are not recognized, but strive to be worthy of recognition. I laugh because I must not cry, that is all, that is all. I have been driven many times upon my knees by the overwhelming conviction that I had nowhere else to go. If I were to face, would I be wearing this one? Most folks are about as happy as they make up their minds to be. Books serve to show a man that those original thoughts of his aren't very new after all. What kills a skunk is the publicity it gives itself. You have to do your own growing no matter how tall your grandfather was. The dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present. As our case is new, we must think anew and act anew. I am a firm believer in the people. If given the truth, they can be depended upon to meet any national crisis. I like to see a man proud of the place in which he lives. My dream is of a place and a time where America will once again be seen as the last best hope of earth. I do not think much of a man who is not wiser today than he was yesterday. No matter how much cats fight, there always seem to be plenty of kittens. Let no feeling of discouragement prey upon you, and in the end you are sure to succeed. You cannot strengthen the weak by weakening the strong. All I have learned, I learned from books. Kindness is the only service that will stand the storm of life and not wash out. The better angels of our nature will prevail. Truth is generally the best vindication against slander. Allow all the governed an equal voice in the government, and that only, is self-government. Let us have faith that right makes might, and in that faith, let us, to the end, dare to do our duty as we understand it. I never encourage deceit and falsehood, especially if you have got a bad memory. It has been my experience that folks who have no vices have very few virtues. No man has a good enough memory to be a successful liar. Don't interfere with anything in the Constitution. That must be maintained, for it is the only safeguard of our liberties. To ease another's heartache is to forget one's own. If this is coffee, please bring me some tea, but if this is tea, please bring me some coffee. I have great respect for the semicolon. It is a mighty handy little fellow. I don't know who my grandfather was. I am much more concerned to know what his grandson will be. Marriage is neither heaven nor hell, it is simply purgatory. I like stories well told. That is the reason I am sometimes forced to tell them myself. He can compress the most words into the smallest ideas better than any man I ever met. If I had 8 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend 6 sharpening my axe. My concern is not whether God is on our side, my greatest concern is to be on God's side. The Lord prefers common-looking people. That is why He made so many of them. Better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak out and remove all doubt. The fight must go on. The cause of civil liberty must not be surrendered at the end of 1 or even 100 defeats. It is not the years in your life but the life in your years that count. You cannot help people permanently by doing for them what they could and should do for themselves. I am not bound to win, but I am bound to be true. Every blade of grass is a study, and to produce two, where there was but one, is both a profit and a pleasure. I like to see a man live so that his place will be proud of him. Stand with anybody that stands right, stand with him while he is right, and part with him when he goes wrong. I do not think much of a man who is not wiser today than he was yesterday. The probability that we may fail in the struggle ought not to deter us from the support of a cause we believe to be just. Always bear in mind that your own resolution to succeed is more important than any one thing. Whatever you are, be a good one. The best way to predict your future is to create it. I am a slow walker, but I never walk back. You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. Nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power. A leader is best when people barely know he exists. I do the very best I know how, the very best I can, and I mean to keep doing so until the end. The dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present. When I do good, I feel good. When I do bad, I feel bad. That's my religion. Important principles may and must be inflexible. Government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves. The ballot is stronger than the bullet. This country, with its institutions, belongs to the people who inhabit it. To sin by silence when they should protest makes cowards of men. The philosophy of the schoolroom in one generation will be the philosophy of government in the next. No man is good enough to govern another man without the other's consent. The people will save their government if the government itself will allow them. Public sentiment is everything. With public sentiment, nothing can fail. Without it, nothing can succeed. As I would not be a slave, so I would not be a master. I will prepare, and someday my chance will come. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. Always bear in mind that your own resolution to succeed is more important than any one thing. Things may come to those who wait, but only the things left by those who hustle. The best thing about the future is that it comes one day at a time. You can't fail unless you quit. We can complain because rose bushes have thorns, or rejoice because thorns have roses. I have always found that mercy bears richer fruits than strict justice. My great concern is not whether you have failed, but whether you are content with your failure. If there is anything that a man can do well, I say let him do it. Give him a chance. Character is like a tree and reputation like a shadow. The shadow is what we think of it, the tree is the real thing. I would rather be a little nobody than to be an evil somebody. Be sure you put your feet in the right place, then stand firm.